Hello. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. The hope for today is to, or excuse me, the goal for today is to go over some just general scholarship resources and then make you aware of some scholarships that are specific to Jackson County students and Jackson County residents. The Jackson County scholarships aren't available yet. They do become available next week. I will send you guys an email when it becomes live. They're not 100% sure of the date. They're hoping the beginning of next week that will be available. But again, I will send you an email. But the first thing I want to do is just make sure that you guys are aware of a couple scholarship resources that might make it easier for you to find and apply for specific scholarships. As I've been told, you guys have already done a couple scholarship applications, which is awesome. I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of other opportunities that might be out there for you. The thing with scholarships is they're kind of difficult to find all the scholarships that are out there that are specific to you as an individual. There's not a website that I can send you to that here are all of the scholarships that you should apply for. There is some amount of legwork that you'll need to do to filter those out, but some of these resources should hopefully make that work a little bit easier for you. So I'm going to start off here on the College and Career Access Center's website. And the first thing we want to go to is we're going to go to financial aid. We're not going to click on it. We're just going to hover over it. And then the first thing is just going to be the monthly scholarship list. These are scholarships that are simply sorted by the day they're due. So if you open up the November scholarship list, these are scholarships that were due November 1st through the end of November, and they're just in chronological order with a brief description, as well as the things that you're going to need to do for them. A lot of them are going to have very similar requirements, but you're going to have to go through and read through to figure out if this is the right scholarship for you to apply for. So the best thing about this is we are telling you these are legitimate scholarships. They are available for students to apply to, and it's going to be good ones for you to do. So it's not perfect. It's just in the order of them when they're due. And they're not going to be for everyone, but at least we're telling you that these are legit scholarships. And then we also have one for December, and then the one for January should be up in the next couple of days. So just a pretty straightforward, simple list of scholarships, nothing much more to it. Then we want to go to these other scholarship resources. On here, you'll find links to different websites. I want to focus on a couple that are down here, specifically like FastWeb, CapX, FinAid, as well as College Board scholarships. These are all good resources for students. You create a profile. I'm going to go to FastWeb just because it's a website that I've worked with in the past. You don't have to pick this one. Whichever one you do pick, I would say just pick one. Don't create multiple of them. The one scholarship database should be good. You should have no issues finding the scholarships. So what you would do here is you would create an account. You'd say, my name's Travis Miller. I have a 3.5 GPA. These are the programs that I'm interested in. This is the types of schools that I'm applying to. And then they will give you a list of scholarships. It'll start off in the order that they're due, but here are scholarships that meet that generalized search criteria. It's not perfect because you still have to do a little bit of filtering out, but at least some of the filtering has been done. So for example, one thing that I noticed when students created these last year, you'll say, I want to go to Western Michigan, or I'm planning on going to Western Michigan. They're going to put on your scholarship list all of the scholarships that could apply to students that are applying to Western Michigan. So you'll still have to go through and say, okay, I'm not doing the College of Engineering. I'm not doing the pilot stuff there. I'm doing the College of Education. That's the scholarship that I want to do. So you still have to do a little bit of filtering, but at least it's done some of that for you, which is pretty nice. You'll get a list of scholarships, and it will give you the date it's due, the name of the scholarship, the amount of money. And then you'll have to actually click into the scholarship to see what you actually need to do for it. What I want you to try to not do is sort by the amount that the scholarship is for. Um, that is something we want to consider, but it doesn't want to be we don't want that to be the first thing that we're looking at. The date it's due is going to be more important. The reason is we kind of need to find a balance on these scholarships. When is it due? How much time is it going to take me to do? what are the chances that I'm actually going to receive this award, and how much is it? So it's really just trying to find the balance of those four things. So if you find a scholarship that needs a 2.5 GPA, and you need to have gotten I know you guys didn't take the SAT, but let's say you did, and the requirement was you needed to get a 900 on the SAT. That 2.5 GPA and that 900 on the SAT are both below the national average. And if those are the only requirements, more than 50% of high school seniors in America could apply for that scholarship. So if there's only going to be one winner and it's a $500 award, that might not be something that's worth your time doing. Then you might also be going through that, and you might find a scholarship that, oh, this is for students who have blue eyes, who are interested in pursuing education. There are scholarships that are that specific, not saying you'll find that exact one, but if you're like, oh, I've got blue eyes and I want to pursue education in the scholarships for $500, there's going to be way fewer individuals who meet that criteria. So as long as it's not something that's going to take you 50 hours to do, that might be a scholarship that's worth your time. If it's something that's only going to take 1 or 2 hours, then that's definitely something that we want to take advantage of. So this is something that it will continually get updated as well. So the more as time goes on and more scholarships become available, different scholarships have different start dates and end dates. So when that start date for a new scholarship becomes available, it'll actually get added to your list, and they will send you emails from that list when you get those. And that goes back to why I was saying don't create multiple of these accounts, because if you create a FastWeb account and a CapEx account, they're going to just bombard you with emails, and it can be a bit overwhelming. When I was a senior in college, or senior in high school, excuse me, I used a resource very similar to FastWeb. It's no longer available, but it's very similar. And I was able to pay for my first year of college tuition from a scholarship that I received from the school, and then scholarships that I applied for from one of these websites. One of them, it was a requirement to have blue eyes. I had to send in a picture of myself as a baby, and then I had to send a picture of myself currently to show that I had blue eyes. There are other requirements for it. But it's something that I put a lot of time into. So let's say I made $10,000 in scholarships, but I put in 100 hours. That's still more per hour than you're going to make doing pretty much anything. If you're well, I'm going to really rely on scholarships, but you're only going to put like 5 hours in. I can just tell you right now that you're not going to make as big of a dent in what in your costs as what you're hoping for. So it's something that you're going to really have to spend some time for, and just really creating kind of a schedule. I did every other weekend, 2 to 3 hours. I'm not expecting any of you guys to put in that amount of work. My mom was the director of the College and Career Access Center at that time, so I was kind of used as a guinea pig to show that it could be done. But if that's something you're looking for, you're going to really be relying on scholarships. This is going to be a good resource, and this is something that you could be doing now up until graduation. If you have any questions about this, let me know. But these are just going to be national and statewide scholarships, so they're not the ones that we want to spend the most amount of time on. I want to make sure that we're focusing more specific to scholarships that are for just people here in Jackson County. So if we go back to my office's website, and we go back to that monthly scholarship, down here at the bottom, they have the Jackson Community Foundation. We're going to take a look at that scholarship. And then under the scholarship resources, there was also one for the Sigmund Foundation. Doesn't look like that's working, so we will just do this. It's sigmundfoundation.org. It'll take you to this website here. It's the Bill and V. Sigmund Foundation Scholarship. It's a really great resource for students here in Jackson County. Their application's not available yet, but I just want to put this on your radar. And again, like I said, I will email you when it becomes available. The cool thing about this scholarship is they have scholarships for students that are interested in pursuing the skilled trades, as well as students that are planning on going to a more traditional school route. They're separate applications, as you can see here. The application itself is really not that difficult, and it is up to a $5,000 scholarship that can be renewed throughout your college going experience, which is or your trade skill experience. So really great one. It's not going to take you a ton of time to do. There are a couple things that I want to point out on this one. when you go into this application, it will say that you need to demonstrate financial need. That looks very different for a lot of different individuals. So one of the benefits of having done your FAFSA already is you're going to receive a package from that institution probably in January, if not before, showing you, hey, this is what our cost is, here's what we're giving you in aid, and that's really how you can demonstrate that financial need. So just because you aren't going to receive the Pell Grant doesn't mean you don't have a need that is present. So last year I had a student that I worked with. Her parents, we did the FAFSA. She wasn't eligible for the Pell Grant. She was only eligible for loans, but she wanted to go to Albion College, which is a very expensive institution. So we sat down, worked on her application. We were able to show an actual need for her. It wasn't a $5,000 need, but based off of what the government said they assumed her family could pay, based off of what Albion College was wanting her to pay, she had a couple $1,000 difference there, and that's how we were able to demonstrate her need. If you're somebody who is full Pell eligible, it's a little bit easier, but I don't want you to be deterred from doing this application just because you aren't Pell eligible. There's different ways to demonstrate need in this scenario, but this is a really great one. Like I said, it's up to $5,000. So if you're going to focus on a couple of scholarships, this is one that we want to definitely do. And it's just at the sigmundfoundation.org, and then you go to scholarships, and you just pick the one that is for you. And then if you want to see who's received it in the past, because there are probably students from your school who've received this, if you want to ask them questions about what they did on their application, that could be a good resource. You'll download a PDF copy. I would encourage you to just type it into that PDF copy rather than printing it out and doing it by hand, but you can do that as well. So really great scholarship, the Bill and V. Sigmund Foundation Scholarship. Really, really good one. The other one I want to point out is going to be the Jackson Community Foundation Scholarship. This one, their goal is to be open on the 9th. I will send you guys an email when it does actually become available, but want to just make sure you guys are aware of it. So if you go over here and click on scholarships, it's going to bring you to this page here with the 3 separate scholarships. There's more than 3, but they've broken it down into 3. The first one I want to talk about is going to be the Meyer and Lois Franklin Scholarship. This is a scholarship. You have to be a Jackson County student, which you guys all are. You have to graduate from Western to be eligible for it. They are only going to accept 200 applications though. So it's really first come, first serve. In years past, they accepted 250 applications and they've reduced that this year. And you'll notice here that it's once we've received 200 completed applications or February 16th, whichever comes first. Last year in mid-January, they received their 250th one, or excuse me, late January. I think it was January 28th. They received their 250th. So we're expecting that 200 to be like mid-January. You have to be a Jackson County resident. And you can also be enrolled in the early college. So if you're planning on doing the early college, you can apply for this as well. And you can use this towards books or supplies or even a laptop, which is really cool. The application is really straightforward. This year, they've moved from a paper model to an electronic model. The things that are going to take you the longest amount of time to do is going to be getting that letter of recommendation. As you can see, this one requires a letter of recommendation and this one requires a letter of recommendation. So if you have not done so already, if you don't have a letter of recommendation, I want to encourage you guys uh, probably within the next week or so to reach out to either a previous boss, a teacher, a coach. If you're planning on doing one of these scholarships, reaching out to somebody like that and asking them to write a letter of recommendation for you. If they say they're willing to do it, you want to give them up at least 2 weeks to get it done. And then one thing I would encourage you to do is once you found somebody who's willing to do it, I like I encourage students to give them something that I call a brag sheet. This brag sheet is just going to have a list of your accomplishments, things that you're involved in, things that you're proud of. So if you're the president of NHS and you're the captain of the tennis team and um, you were a National Merit Scholar recipient, you want to add those on there because the individual who's writing it for you might not know all of those accolades, and we want to make sure that they know those when they're writing that letter of recommendation so it can be as good as possible. The other thing that you're going to need to have done for these is you're going to need to have the FAFSA done. So if you're been dragging your toes on that, make sure you get it done. But the Myron Lois Franklin, really easy. You just need to know that there's only 200 that are accepted, and it's a $1,000 scholarship to a $5,000 scholarship. So it's a lot of money there. It's a really, really cool one. But don't be like a lot of students that I worked with last year who worked on this, put it off, dragged their feet, and then when they submitted it, they had already received 250. And this year it'll be 200. So if that's something you're going to do, we want to get that one done as soon as you can. The tricky part of it is they want you to send in a transcript with your your first semester grades. So if you get this done before your first semester grades are posted, just remember that you need to log in to send your second or your transcript after your first semester grades are posted, so they have that. The next scholarship I want to talk about is going to be the Jackson Legacy Scholarship. This has changed significantly from years past. It's going to be a lot different this year. It's going to be a smaller pool of individuals who are going to receive it, but a significantly larger amount of money. The application for the Jackson Legacy Scholarship is actually within the JCF Scholarship, which we'll get to here in a second. But I want to stress that if you are planning on applying for the Jackson Legacy Scholarship, when you are doing the JCF Scholarship, you need to say the school you are planning on enrolling is either Baker College, Jackson College, or Spring Arbor. One of the only requirements for this scholarship is that you need to be enrolled in one of those three schools. In years past, they've awarded this to a number of individuals who have said, I'm not positive where I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go to Jackson, but it's a backup plan. My goal is to go to U of M, whatever it ends up being. This year, they've changed it, where if you are not saying on your application that I'm planning on attending Spring Arbor, Jackson, or Baker, they're not going to review your application for the Legacy Scholarship. So if this is something that you plan on picking as one of your scholarships that you're going to apply for, make sure you put one of those three schools. Even if it's, well, I think I'm going to go to Spring Arbor, but I might go to Michigan State or whatever it ends up being, put that school, Baker, Jackson, or Spring Arbor, as the school you plan on going if you're going to pick the Jackson Legacy Scholarship. You do need to have transcripts, and this one is even more specific on the transcript. They want to receive your senior year first semester grades. So if I were you, I wouldn't submit this application until you actually have those grades. So if you're an individual who's planning on doing this, find out from your counselor or whoever it is when those grades are posted, so that way you can get that updated transcript as soon as you can. This has to be submitted by February 16th, so you have a little bit of time after first semester grades will be posted. And there's really no benefit to getting it in significantly before that time. They'll review all of the applications as long as they have all the criteria and have been received by February 16th. But work on it between now and then. But this, like I mentioned, this application is found within the JCF individual scholarships. So the JCF scholarships are a little bit different than these because it's actually multiple scholarships within one scholarship application. So the Jackson Legacy Scholarship among 30 some other scholarships are all within the one application. When you are doing this application, you'll create an account, and then you are able to pick up to 5 of these scholarships that are listed here for students. You'll have to detail into them to see what the criteria is, but they've given you kind of general breakdown. So if you're a student who's planning on pursuing an engineering or a manufacturing degree or job, I would encourage you to look at these. Healthcare, overcoming obstacles. If you play hockey, there's one specific to that. And then this one here, it's you have to live in Tompkins Township. So if you are an individual who lives in Tompkins Township, apply for this because it's a really great one. But here are the list of all of them. You'll kind of want to know going in to the application which ones you want to do, because it's not going to give you the ability to look at that information. So between now and when they start, or by the time you're planning on getting working on it, I would encourage you to kind of go through these, get a general idea of what the requirements are. So for this one, the Dorothy and Dick Burgess Scholarship, you have to be from Jackson County. You have to be a resident of Jackson County, so this one's a little bit more specific to that. You have to graduate from high school in Jackson County. Proof of financial need, that's the same thing as I was talking about with the Sigmund Foundation Scholarship. There's different ways you can do it. You have to have above a 3.0 GPA, you have to be a good citizen, and you have to be pursuing a degree in earth science, engineering, pre-med, or Christian ministry. So gives you the whole breakdown, and then you'll just add this. If this is one that you want to do, you add it to your scholarship list, and then when you're doing that application, you'll be applying for this. You will also see down here that this one can be used for tuition, books, and fees, or other academic related costs. These scholarships, the ones that are not specific to just tuition, are really better. And when I was doing these scholarships, when I was applying for ones that weren't restricted to tuition, a lot of times they would send you a check because it's just academic related costs. That could look very different for a lot of individuals. So if you apply for this scholarship, you receive it, and you're going to Spring Arbor, but you're going to be commuting to and from, an educated related expense could be gas. It could be a bus pass. It could be a lot of different things. So if it's one that's not restricted to tuition, those are typically a little bit better. So this application, you do need letters of recommendation, like I mentioned. So if you haven't gotten those, make sure you get those squared away. You can start working on this now, but their biggest issue is they need a first semester transcript. So I mean, you can submit it before then, but you need to upload that updated transcript. So if I were you, I would get this started, get it ready, and then once you've received that updated transcript, adding it to your account and then submitting it that time. The only benefit to submitting it any earlier than February 16th would be this note down here at the bottom. If you submit your scholarship application by February 1st, you get entered into an early bird drawing. It's literally just names entered into a contest, and whoever is selected receives a $500 scholarship. The reason they do this is they actually start reviewing scholarships earlier, but they will review everyone that comes in after that. But they want to give themselves a little bit more time to go through all of the scholarship applications, getting them sent out to the people that are going to reviewing each of those. And then for this one, you need the proof of completion of FAFSA. So that's part of the reason why we did the FAFSA when we did it. So there's a lot of different scholarship resources out there. The ones that we want to focus on really are the Jackson Community Foundation, the Sigmund Foundation Scholarship, the Legacy one, which is within the Jackson Community Foundation, and then the Myra and Lois Franklin. Those are really restricted to either Jackson County or Lenawee County residents or students. So they're just going to be the ones that you have the greatest chance at receiving. If you have questions about scholarship applications, you're not sure what a question is asking, or if you just need kind of a push to help finding more specific scholarships to you, please let me know. And like I said, I will email you when I get a notification from the Jackson Community Foundation and Sigmund Foundation of when their applications are available. If you have questions, you can always reach out to me at my email. That email is tmiller@jacksoncac.org. That's tmiller@jacksoncac.org. My phone number is 517-262-0102. It's the easiest way to get a hold of me because it is my cell phone number. So if you want to just shoot me a quick text message about questions on these scholarships, definitely feel free. I'm pretty quick to get back to you. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for your time.